Alright, so hi guys, this was not the video that was supposed to go up today, but I kind of feel like I need to strike the iron while the pot is still hot and talk about this because, surprise, what? What? Never, not on my channel, never. But, just so you know, this is a very last minute video because of this literally happened last night. So if for some reason I can't slap out a Hazbin fan art really quick for the background footage, I'll just slap out random background footage just to have something to look at. But if you guys know at all, I'm a Hazbin fan. I'm a Hell of a Boss fan. I have been since long before Vivzie's YouTube days. I'm actually one of Vivzie's fans back from before she was even on Tumblr. Back when she was on DA and back before she even made her comic and stuff. And I've always been a fan of her work because I found her through another friend of mine. Keep in mind, again, this was years ago. So I've seen Vivzie for many, many stages, and I have talked to her. Granted, it was years ago. A small handful of times. I'm pretty sure she doesn't remember who I am, which is fine. But I have talked to people who have known her and things like that, and I actually did know somebody that worked on the pilot. And so what ended up happening was last night, at the time of recording this, we finally got an update. We got an updated poster of the hotel on the official Twitter for it. It's officially coming through A24, which if you guys don't know, I'll just slap a collage I'll make of like A24 movies that I actually like on here. But how A24 also has a very, good record of supporting indie and art house dreams, which, call a spade, that's what Hazbin is. That's what it is. It's very much a indie art house themed idea. It might not seem like it, but there is a reason why, A24 is picking it up, and most likely not a bigger network like, Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, yada, yada, yada. Was because from following Viv's journey for so long, she has openly said that she wanted to keep the integrity of the show intact when pitching it. When working on the pilot, they wanted to keep the core of the show for places they pitched it, which is why they turned down a couple of other places. And a lot of people kind of thought it was dead in the water because, wow, it's been a year. When, no, that's kind of just how mainstream animation works. And I think that's the bigger problem here is, like I said, I'm a big fan of Hell of a Boss. I'm a big fan of this stuff. I like this humor. I like the art style. I like what we've got going here, But I also, as a 29-year-old woman, I kind of know how the animation industry works. And I know that 9.5 times out of 10, the finished product never looks like the pilot. I want you now, if you're one of the people that were nervous, I want you to look at the Steven Universe pilot compared to the show. I want you to look at the Adventure Time pilot compared to the show. I want you to look up nearly any pilot of any show compared to the final product. It was gonna be different. And I've seen a lot of people really upset that a lot of the voice cast isn't coming back. And a lot of people are blaming Vivzie for this, and a lot of the voice cast on Twitter are having to come out and be like, no, please support this. Please. We worked really hard. Don't boycott this thing. Do not make this dead in the water, because we need to be honest here. Hazbin Hotel is such a huge leap for indie artists. We need to support this media. We need to, because if this flops, we might never get a chance like this again. I do not think people realize how important this is, that a mainstream network is picking it up and it is becoming a show. Okay? It is so rare that something on YouTube did so big that a network is willing to pitch it and keep majority of its integrity intact. Because obviously, pilot to finished copy, there are always going to be changes. This is just how animation works. And I think the big difference this time is they grew such a fan base over just the pilot that a lot of people do not want to accept change. They do not want to accept change, and they don't have faith in Vivzie, the creator. They just don't. They've gotten so emotionally attached to these characters. They've gotten so emotionally attached to the voices that I am upset. I am upset that I am seeing 50-50 fans being excited the show's finally happening and then being like, oh, well, now I'm not going to watch it because so-and-so's not back, because they're going to change my favorite character, because they're going to do what animation industries do. And it's really disheartening on the level of work that Vivzie has done. Again, I don't know her personally. I'm not going to try to speak for her, but I can attempt to put myself in her shoes and try to picture what it's like if I worked really, really hard on a passion project that has been a passion project for years. I have seen these characters evolve over the years before they were even in YouTube. You know, so I know these are characters Vivzie has held dear to her heart for years. To see growing and getting into media and then being in animation and then getting pitched for a show. If I can even attempt to imagine something like that, and then for working so hard to try to keep the integrity of the show, because a lot of people don't realize that I'm sorry we don't live in a beautiful, utopian bubble where people can just create what they want. I would love for it to be that way. That's not how it works, okay? TV shows need production houses to get made so the animators can buy food and rent. That's just, wow, who would have thought, voice actors need to get paid so they can afford to feed their families and pay their bills. That's just the world we live in. And a lot of times there are things where a creator of a show doesn't get the say of the network. The network could have literally been, we don't know. We are not Vivzie. I'm not going to attempt to speak for Vivzie, but to see my loyal fans who's helped support the thing and make the dream come true, to then threaten to boycott it, saying that they can't wait for Dailymotion to drop all of it so they don't have to pay for it now, to stop wanting to buy the merch because they're not bringing the original voice cast and some of the animators aren't coming back. That probably wasn't her choice. That was probably the network being a network. And it's bothering me so much to my core that people are not even attempting to do basic research. I'm giving teenagers the benefit of the doubt because you're younger, but to the adults that I know are fans that are doing this, I'm ashamed of you. I am flat out upset because you are an adult and you should understand how this stuff works, especially if you claim to like animation. You are allowed to be upset. I was very attached to some of the voice actors too, but I also kind of in the back of my head knew something like that was going to happen because, again, a perfect example is when I saw the Steven Universe pilot for the first time compared to the finished show, I was like, ooh, you know what? I'm kind of glad, because I didn't like the pilot. I'm sorry, I didn't like the Steven Universe pilot. I'm kind of happy with what they went with, because originally I didn't even like the Steven Universe style at first either. It grew on me after a time. And to see people want to push for this so hard and to see how big this is in the industry, that this is a creator that was able to make it in the industry, like she did it, and then to see people threaten to boycott it, seeing people to threaten to stop paying for merch to help support the other stuff, it's a small indie team. Small indie teams don't have the time or the money, sadly, to make a fully finished thing at a good, convenient pace. This is something Vivzie herself has openly talked about in live streams. Granted, they were a couple of years ago, but I remember she talked about how it's such a big story, there's so much to tell that there's no way they could do it with a tiny YouTube team. And that's just how it is. Let's be honest. I know a lot of people who would rather have Hell of a Boss be more than once a month uploads. Or, once every other month. But they're an indie team. That's kind of what we get. We get what we get. I'm very happy with what we get, and the production value for what we get is amazing. I think it's great, and it is only getting bigger and better. But we live in a society where money talks, and you know what's going to happen? If this show drops and people don't support it financially, we're never going to get something like this again. Big corporate heads with all the money are gonna be like, that's cute. But no. It's going to come down to, you are gonna need to know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody to even attempt to get your thing made. If this does bad. It's gonna go back down to that. It's not gonna go off of hard work and analytics and proving that people want to see this thing. So please, when this drops, freaking support it. Buy the merch. Do this. This is not sponsored. This is purely by somebody who's also an indie artist and also an indie author. And you know, I wouldn't want this to happen to me. I don't think people realize what a great time we are living in, but we are also living in a time where people don't want to take the time to educate themselves and realize that money is what rules the world. Does it suck? Yeah, but that's how it is. That's why a lot of things just, haven't been done. I think a really good example, on why some things have taken forever. Remember Hullabaloo? Anybody ever heard about that? With that happening someday? That's been years. You want to know why? It's an indie team that didn't really get off the ground, and I'm really sad about that. I really like Hullabaloo, and when it eventually drops, I'm gonna watch it. But, it's been years. With a bunch of other indie shows that have tried making it, and just they couldn't. That's just kind of how it works. You need to support these endeavors in the cheapest ways you can, which are, when it drops, freaking pay for the streaming service for like a month and watch it. Or wait. Help them out. Don't torrent it. Freaking do buy from their store. Help indie artists out. Help this happen, because you are allowed to be upset. You are allowed to be angry. But if you're suddenly gonna go from, I'm super excited and I can't wait, to, well, screw this project, we will never, ever get something like this again. And if we do, it will be for many, many, many a moon from now. Because, wow, the creator, when they pitch something, doesn't always have control over the entire thing. Because people need to get paid. People need to go through companies. Contracts are being done. People need to feed their families. People need to pay rent. People need to be able to live to afford to do these things. That's just how the world works. So there's my rant. There's my ramble. I'm not saying you're not allowed to be upset that, a lot of the voices and the animators aren't coming back. You are allowed to be. I'm talking to the people that realistically thought we were going to get the same thing as the YouTube short, when I have never in my life seen a pilot match the same thing as the finished product. So that's more what I have to say about that. You're allowed to be upset, but please don't destroy such a big opportunity for indie artists everywhere just because you're a little upset. You're allowed to be upset, but don't destroy something before it even hits the water. Alright, there's my rant. There's my ramble. Really wanted to get this out there. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the time. Happy Artmas. Trust me, this should have been good news. Like I said, when I saw it, I thought it was great, and then I saw, how people were reacting on Twitter. Yeah. Happy holidays, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for a not ranty video. Bye-bye.